go on record and say I think hybrid is stupid. I think it is a terrible approach. I think it's something that we've arrived at in the middle because it seems like flexibility, but it's not really. And I think at the heart of the issue is if you talk to people, I think what people, and Julie, I think you keyed on this earlier, what people really want, I believe, are flexibility and agency. And they want the flexibility to figure out how to make work better. And James, kind of what you're saying is like the people in the field, they know how to make that work. This is what they want. They need the flexibility. And oftentimes field workers have kind of the best kind of flexibility because they know it needs to be done. They manage their time and schedule and their resources, flexibility, and then the agency to make decisions about that flexibility to best suit them, to work for them. So if that's what employees want, I think the reason it's not working and the reason hybrid is a stupid solution is hybrid is not flexible. Like everybody talks like hybrid's flexible. Hybrid is just a different way of organizations telling you where you need to be and when you need to work. That is not flexible. That is inflexibly telling you when you need to be at the office and when you need to be at home. That is not flexible. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Flexibility is I can make my work schedule work around things that are needed, right? What are the requirements? The reason it's breaking down, I believe, I think there's two big issues. One, Julie mentioned already, is clarity, a lack of clarity. We are terrible at measuring and managing performance. So as an organization, we aren't entirely sure how to measure exactly what you're doing or what's good enough and what's not good enough. And so instead we talk about productivity, which is really about can we squeeze as much as possible out of you, which I think is a very old school notion of how to manage. So we have a lack of clarity around what's expected and what's enough. And then we have a lack of trust. The reason all of this isn't working is because executives still don't trust employees often to behave like adults and to do the best they can and to meet performance expectations. And so they're terrified of flexibility. So instead we get this facade of flexibility called hybrid. 3 days in the office, 2 days wherever else you want to go. And so that's why I think that's why I don't think there's so much tension still around it, is that we're trying to, it's not really getting at the real issues. Until we fix the clarity and the trust issues, we're never going to be able to give or create the kind of flexibility and agency that I think employees need to be their best. So that would be that's my read on why things are so messy right now. And I'm curious to see if that aligns or if others disagree with me.
Yeah, I love that, Jason, because when I first started at this company, Work P2P, Dan Rogers, my boss, I was shocked when he said, if you're looking for a job description, I don't have one. You're not going to get one. It's be Mark and be awesome. And I was like, what? And I came from such a structured environment. And he said, here's a crazy idea, Mark. I trust you. And I trust that you're going to use your time wisely. And I trust that you're going to figure this stuff out. And I was like, holy shit, holy crap. This is all on me. But I'll tell you, when you have an employer who truly does trust in us, it's a completely different dynamic. I work harder than I've ever worked before because I don't want to let that guy down. We only have a 4-day work week. So I've got to be really intentional with my time. And I think that's Dan's vision to redeem work, to change work, is exactly what you just said, Jason, is to create that ecosystem whereby people are fully actualized, where people are developed to their highest potential because of the environment they're in. And it's just what you said in the podcast episode, Jason, the cultivation mindset. It's not about telling you to do this than that, which I love that you called hybrid crap, because it really is inflexibility, just more defined. It's more defined inflexibility. I'm kind of rambling, but what I'm getting to is that this whole mission to redeem work is one of the ways that we can fix this problem with quote unquote hybrid work. Anybody else want to ramble or get on a soapbox? This could be fun. Julia, at Strategic Coach, your superpower is to get people to understand what their unique abilities are. And I'm thinking that there must be a unique ability chapter to this, because As we look at quote unquote hybrid work, where we work, how we work, it seems to me that you must have had a lot of conversations with people about knowing who they are first before they then decide how they show up at work. Would you love to
Sure, I
address
can
that?
try to connect those dots a little bit. I think one of the things when Jason was saying, we suck at communication and clarity, and I think that's actually one of the things our company does decent. Doesn't mean we couldn't be better, but because we're each operating in our area of unique ability, that means we're not. It's not like we just have to do our job description, do it whether you like it or not. It's like, okay, these activities are kind of designed in alignment with what you love doing and what you're best at. So that means someone else is doing the other stuff that might have been on my job description, which means I now have to be a good communicator and a good team player in order to connect and connect the dots and pass the baton in the relay race. So we've, in some ways, we've had to become good communicators. It's harder to do unique ability teamwork because there is more communication required and better teamwork skills. And not everybody has those. Not everybody's developed those or cultivated or been taught those. So we've had to, which I think is why when the pandemic happened, we were able to switch gears pretty quickly and we trusted each other. And there's a lot of trust. Like I have a ton of autonomy with what I do. Nobody checks up on me. So I already have a lot of autonomy, which is great. And there's a lot of trust. And so, when people are in their unique ability, they're much more engaged in what they're doing. They're passionate. They're going to work their asses off because they love what they're doing, right? Ideally. And that's not everybody's in that 100% of the time. And that's where we're working towards being. And we do that with our clients. And, it's tricky. It's interesting when you say, it sucks. And I, part of me is like, yes. And part of me is like, no. And then there's the Dan T. Rogers version, which is completely radical for how most people think, right? Where there's complete and utter trust and you get to make up your own role. We haven't gone that far. And to me, we're kind of balancing the needs of our clients because this is what we do is we work with people who come into our office space. And I can't just say, well, I want total flexibility and I want total autonomy. Screw you. I'm not coming into the office. We've got people to serve at the office. And we could say, well, only the admin team or the workshop resource team, they should come in and do it all. It's like, well, but then where's the rest of it? Where are we all? So we kind of went for we're all in this boat together. All of these clients are why we're here. And so we're all going to go in on those days. And that felt like, that made sense to me logically. That didn't feel like a weird, now that's our situation. We have clients come into the office. So we need to serve those people and make sure they have a wonderful, fantastic experience. Because if they're not coming back, then I don't have a job, right? So it made sense. It wasn't random, whereas other people random come in these 2 days and then again you can't find anybody down the hall. That sucks. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to just be told you have to come in for no good reason, and then I come in and there's nobody there anyway. And then adding on those extra VIP days, I think has made a big difference because it is more strategic, which I think is what the idea of intentional means to me. You're not just being willy-nilly about it. You're going to be strategic about those dates. But that took a bit for us to figure out. At first, we didn't figure that out yet. So there was a lot of trickiness with that. And it's not perfect. It feels like there is a little bit more management of, oh, did you take, how many remote days have you taken? And it feels like there's a little bit more, counting up your hours and stuff like that, which I don't love. And then I also see I can always see both sides. So then I go to the other side. It's like, well, sure, I want it to be fair. I don't want someone to feel ripped off that they, or someone's taking advantage. Now, if someone's taking advantage of the system, if you don't trust the people, are they the right people in your company? And, should they even be there in the first place would be where I would go with that because I want to be trusted. And if I'm not trusted, then I probably shouldn't be here. So that's my ramble for you, Mark.
Yeah, good thoughts, Julia. Julie.
Yes. So I'm a huge fan of remote work and how it's about empowering people and trusting them. I think that there is an exception. And that exception is with people who are new to the workforce. I'm not going to talk about generational because you could be whatever age and this is you're new to the workforce. And I think in that case, I've read studies, I can't cite the stats, though, it's just that's where they really suffer because they actually could use more coaching. They could use more of that opportunity to ask for help. And if you're new, a lot of times they don't know that they can ask for help, or it's just, I'm supposed to know. And it's easier to hide when you're remote. It's easier to try to figure it out on the internet than just asking someone. And so I think that's that one segment of the workforce where we really have to see how can we support them to develop.